The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets overhead as I slammed into him, our bodies colliding mid-dribble on the polished hardwood, his strong arms wrapping around my waist to keep us both from crashing to the floor. "Whoa, easy there, killer. You trying to take me out before tip-off?" He laughed, his breath hot against my ear, voice like gravel wrapped in honey. And in that split second, with his blue eyes locking onto mine, I knew my quiet life in the shadows of Evergreen State University was about to shatter. I mumbled an apology, heart pounding not from the fall but from the way his touch lingered just a beat too long, igniting something deep and dangerous I'd buried since high school. It was supposed to be just another anonymous workout in the underutilized wing of the campus rec center, the kind of place where introverted psych majors like me could sweat out our existential dread without small talk. I'd booked the private basketball court for 7 p.m. sharp, my sacred hour to channel frustrations into layups, pretending the rim was every rejection letter I'd ever crumpled. But as I pushed through the double doors, sneakers squeaking on the freshly waxed floor, there he was, Jax Harlan, the golden boy of the Evergreen Eagles, star point guard with a highlight reel longer than my list of unspoken crushes. He was already mid-warm-up, jersey clinging to his broad shoulders, tossing effortless threes that swished through the net like whispers. I froze, phone in hand, the booking app glaring back at me with its traitorous confirmation. Double booked. Some glitch in the system, or maybe the universe's cruel joke on a guy who'd spent 22 years perfecting the art of invisibility. Jack spotted me then, pausing with the ball tucked under his arm, his tousled dark hair falling just so over those piercing eyes. "You the ghost who reserved this joint?" he called out, a grin splitting his face. The kind that had graced billboards for Nike youth camps and local car dealerships. I nodded, throat dry, mumbling about the app error. He shrugged, spinning the ball on his finger like it was an extension of his soul. "No sweat. Coach has me grinding solos anyway. Wanna run drills? Could use a spotter who doesn't kiss my ass." That was it, the hook that reeled me in. Me, Ethan Caldwell, the nobody from rural Ohio who'd fled to Washington State chasing whispers of reinvention, partnering with the campus deity. I should have bolted, cited my prior commitment to Netflix and ramen, but something in his easy confidence cracked my defenses. We started simple. Passing drills, him barking tips like, "Keep your elbows in, man. You're telegraphing like a bad poker hand." His voice had that Pacific Northwest drawl, all laid-back vowels stretched over Midwestern grit from his upbringing in Seattle's suburbs. As the minutes ticked by, the gym echoed with the rhythmic thump of the ball, our laughter punctuating the silences when I'd botch a crossover and he'd tease, "Come on, Eth, you're killing my street cred here." By the half-hour mark, sweat soaked through my tank, and Jax peeled off his jersey without a second thought, revealing the sculpted lines of a body honed by endless sprints and protein shakes. I averted my eyes, heat rising not just from exertion but from the forbidden flicker in my chest. I'd known I was gay since I was 15, stealing glances at the quarterback in the locker room showers, but college had been a careful dance of apps and anonymous hookups in Seattle dive bars. Nothing that stuck, nothing that scared me into vulnerability. Jax, though? He was danger wrapped in charm. The kind of guy who dated cheerleaders in high school yearbooks but moved through the world with an effortless fluidity that made my pulse stutter. We wrapped as the clock hit 8, him slapping my back with a solid work, partner. Same time tomorrow? Fix that glitch before it bites us again. I nodded, dazed, watching him saunter out with his duffel slung over one shoulder, the door swinging shut behind him like a period on a sentence I wasn't ready to end. That night, in my cramped dorm off-campus apartment, posters of Freud and Radiohead peeling from the walls, I replayed the hour on loop, dissecting every glance, every brush of knuckles during handoffs. Was it nothing? Or was it the spark I'd chased in every half-hearted Grindr chat? The next evening, the court was ours again. No glitch this time. I'd triple-checked. Jax arrived with Gatorades in hand, tossing me the blue one with a wink. "Fuel up, rookie. Got a scrimmage vibe tonight." We dove deeper. One-on-one, him schooling me on pick and rolls, his body pressing close in defensive slides, the air thick with the scent of exertion and his cologne. Something woodsy, like cedar after rain. Between plays, stories spilled out like loose change. He confessed the pressure of being the Harlan legacy, His dad a former NBA benchwarmer who drilled him since Pee Wee leagues. "Feels like I'm carrying the family franchise on my back sometimes," he said, sinking a fadeaway that left me gaping. I shared scraps of my own chaos, the farm boy roots, the scholarship scrape, the therapy sessions unpacking why I built walls higher than the Space Needle. By week's end, our partnership had evolved into ritual. The gym staff stopped raising eyebrows at the double-booking anomaly, chalking it up to Jax's star power. We'd linger post-drill, stretching on the mats, talking dreams over the hum of vending machines. He wanted more than ball, film studies, maybe directing those gritty indie flicks about underdogs clawing for glory. I confessed my thesis on queer identity in American lit, voice barely above a whisper testing waters. He didn't flinch, just nodded. "Sounds heavy, like that Baldwin guy. Fire and truth, right?" My heart flipped. Did he know? Or was it just bookish banter? One rainy Thursday, Washington weather's favorite torment. The power flickered during our session, plunging the gym into twilight gloom lit only by emergency reds. We kept playing by feel, the ball's echo our only guide, until a thunderclap rattled the rafters and Jax missed a step, twisting his ankle on the baseline. I dropped to his side, hands steadying his calf, the intimacy of the touch sending jolts up my arm. "Shit, that smarts," he hissed, but his eyes held mine in the dim glow, something unspoken crackling like the storm outside. I helped him to the bench, fetching ice from the trainer's kit, wrapping it with care. Our knees brushed and he didn't pull away. "Thanks, Eth. You're solid. More than solid." His voice dropped, rough around the edges, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd lean in. But the lights surged back, blinding us, and the moment shattered like cheap glass. From there, the pull intensified. We'd text through nights, memes about botched free throws, late-night rants on cafeteria slop. He invited me to a team watch party at his off-campus house. A sprawling Victorian the seniors rented, thumping with bass and blue LEDs. I hovered on the fringes, nursing a solo cup of flat beer, watching Jax hold court. High fives with linemen, arm around a sorority girl for the cameras. Jealousy gnawed, irrational and sharp, until he found me in the kitchen, refilling amid the chaos. "Escaping the zoo?" he grinned, hip-checking me playfully. We ended up on the back porch, rain pattering on the awning, sharing a joint he'd rolled. My first in months. The high loosened tongues. He admitted the facade, the perfect Jax armor cracking under scout pressures and family expectations. "Sometimes I just want to bail on it all. You know? Run off to Portland, bartend, write bad poetry." I laughed, but inside, I ached, recognizing the echo of my own hidden fractures. That's when it shifted. A week later, post-drill, as we cooled down under the hoop, he turned to me, towel around his neck, expression uncharacteristically raw. That night on the porch. I meant it. About bailing. About needing real. His hand grazed my arm, deliberate, and time stuttered. I met his gaze, the gym silence save our breaths. "Jax, But he closed the gap, lips brushing mine tentative. Then sure, salt and sweetness, the taste of possibility. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, his whisper fierce. "This us? It's the only play that feels right." In that kiss, worlds collided. My guarded heart cracking open, his starlit facade flickering out. We were partners now, in every sense, stealing moments in shadowed corners. Whispers in the steam of post-workout showers. Nothing more than hands held underwater, promises sealed. But Eden has serpents, and ours slithered in on scholarship announcement day. Jax's name topped the list. Full ride to UCLA, scouts buzzing like flies on honey. Celebration swallowed us. Team banquet, where he pulled me aside in the coat room, kissing me fierce against fur-lined wool, murmuring, "This doesn't change shit. We'll make it work." Weekends in Cali, summers here. I believed him, drunk on the dream, until the texts from his bros started. Locker room jabs about Harlan's gym buddy. Emojis winking implications. Paranoia crept, but I shoved it down, focusing on our stolen nights. Drives up the coast to Deception Pass, windows down, his hand on my thigh as we blasted Springsteen. singing off-key about thunder roads and glory days. The betrayal hit like a fast break I never saw coming. It was mid-semester, rain lashing the quad, when I stumbled into the student union for coffee and froze at the flat screen. ESPN recap of an Eagles exhibition game. Jax, mic'd up post-win, arms slung around the assistant captain, broad-shouldered Ryan, the team's enforcer, grinning for the cameras. "Couldn't have done it without my main man here," Jax said, pulling Ryan close in a bro hug that lingered, their faces inches apart. But it was the follow-up clip, fan shot on TikTok, that gutted me. Later that night, at an off-campus rager, Jax and Ryan locked in a corner booth, lips meeting in a kiss that mirrored ours. Hungry, unapologetic. My phone slipped from numb fingers, coffee spilling like tears I refused to shed. I confronted him the next dawn at the gym, our sanctuary now a battlefield. He arrived whistling, duffel swinging, but one look at my face. Pale, shattered, and the whistle died. What's... I thrust the phone at him, the video looping silently, accusation in pixels. His color drained, eyes darting like a cornered animal. It's not, fuck. It's not what it looks like. But it was. Explanations tumbling. Ryan's advances, the pressure to fit the script. A drunken lapse to keep suspicions at bay. I panicked, man. The team's watching, scouts sniffing. If they clock me as. He trailed off, the word gay hanging unspoken. A ghost in the rafters. Betrayal twisted deeper. Not just the kiss, but the lie, the compartmentalizing that cast me as the safe harbor while he played both sides of the court. Words flew like errant passes. My accusations of cowardice, his defenses laced with fear. Dad's homophobic rants, the nil deals dangling like nooses. "You think this is easy? I'm all in with you, that shit with Ryan?" It meant nothing, but it did. To me, it eroded the trust we built bounce by bounce. I stormed out, rain soaking me to bone, the city blurring through salt-stung eyes. Days blurred into avoidance. Skipped classes, deleted texts, the gym a no-fly zone echoing with ghosts. Friends noticed, my roommate, Lena, with her gentle prods over takeout Thai. But I stonewalled, burying in books and bad decisions, like chain smoking on the fire escape at 3 a.m., exhaling regrets into the fog. The climax brewed in the shadow of playoffs. Evergreen was one win from nationals, Jax's name in lights, but the air crackled with unspoken dread. I avoided the arena, holing up in the library stacks, until Lena dragged me to the semifinal. For closure, dumbass. Or catharsis. The crowd roared as tip-off loomed, Jax on the bench, ankle taped from an old tweak, scanning the stands until his eyes found mine in the nosebleeds. A nod, infinitesimal, but it pierced. Halftime hit with us down 8, tension thick as Seattle smog. Then, in the third, magic. Jax subbed in, orchestrating a comeback with surgical precision. No-look passes, buzzer beaters that had the Coliseum shaking. But midway, a screenplay gone wrong. He drove baseline, Ryan setting the pick, their bodies tangling in a foul that sent Jax sprawling, clutching his knee. The whistle blew, medics swarming, and in the chaos, our eyes locked across the court. Raw, pleading. I bolted down aisles, flashing my student ID at security, reaching the tunnel as they wheeled him back. "Ethan," his voice cracked, hand outstretched. I took it, the world narrowing to that grip amid flashing bulbs and frantic chatter. "Don't leave me hanging," he whispered, tears carving tracks through sweat. "Not like this. I fucked up, big time, but you're my play, my only shot." The confession poured. The kiss a shield, born of terror. But love? That was real, forged in gym lights and rainy drives. Ryan was a mistake, a ghost of denial. I was his truth. In that sterile trainer's room, with the game thundering beyond, walls crumbled. I stayed through x-rays, sprain, not tear, his apologies weaving with gratitude, promises of therapy, coming out on his timeline, ours. "No more doubles," he vowed, thumb tracing my knuckles. "Booked solid with you." The Eagles pulled a miracle win without him, but victory tasted bittersweet, a prelude to harder battles. As spring thawed the Cascades, our reconciliation unfolded like a slow-motion reel. tentative at first, laced with the residue of hurt. We met in neutral ground, coffee shops off campus, where baristas didn't know our faces, talking in circles about boundaries, triggers, the fragility of trust. Jax dove into counseling through the athletic department, sessions squeezed between film study and foam rolling, emerging with vocabulary for the war inside him. Internalized shame, performative masculinity, the weight of a sport that idolized straight-jawed heroes. It's like I've been running a pick and roll with my own head my whole life. He joked one afternoon over lattes at the Elliott Bay Book Company, sunlight slanting through fogged windows onto dog-eared paperbacks. I laughed, but it mended something. His willingness to unpack, to let me witness the unvarnished Jax. We eased back into the gym, not as partners in intensity but in gentleness. Light shooting, yoga flows on the mats, breaths sinking like heartbeats. No more stolen kisses in shadows. Instead, handholds in broad daylight when the rec center emptied. His fingers lacing mine with a defiance that grew bolder each session. Whispers turned to plans. Summer road trip down the Oregon coast, post-grad meanderings before his UCLA exodus. We'll make it a rom-com montage, he said, spinning me in a clumsy waltz under the hoop, our laughter echoing off cinder-block walls. For the first time, I let myself dream aloud. A life not in hiding, but hand in hand, navigating the American sprawl with its billboards and backroads. Queerness not a footnote but the bold print. Yet conflict simmered beneath the bloom. Jax's inner circle tightened like a zone defense. Ryan, post-foul apology delivered awkwardly in the weight room. Dude, I crossed lines, won't happen again. But sidelong glances lingered, breeding doubt. Teammates ribbed with bromance jabs that cut too close, and his agent, a slick LA type named Marco, dropped hints about clean image for endorsements. Eyes narrowing when Jax mentioned a friend, tagging along to events. I felt it, the pull of his old world, the gravity threatening to orbit us apart. One night, after a tense call with his dad, congratulations laced with, "Keep your head in the game, son, no distractions." Jax showed up at my door, six-pack in hand, eyes stormy. We sat on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant stars, cracking cans and cracking open. "It's eating me, he admitted, voice low against the distant wail of ferries. Dad's old school, played in the 80s when shit like this got you benched or worse. He doesn't know. But every pep talk feels like a warning. I listened, beer bitter on my tongue, sharing my own scars. The Ohio preacher uncle who'd prayed the gay away at family reunions. The college advisor who'd suggested toning down my thesis to avoid controversy. Vulnerability bridged us, turning pain into solidarity. "We're not distractions," I said, leaning into his shoulder. "We're the goddamn highlight reel." He turned, kissing me slow under the sodium glow, and in that moment, Seattle felt infinite. A city of bridges, not barriers. But the real storm brewed in June, as finals faded and packing crates cluttered dorms. Jax's UCLA orientation loomed, a cross-country chasm, and whispers of a welcome event for transfers turned sinister when Marco texted details. Black tie mixer, networking with boosters, bring your A game, kid. No plus ones yet. Jax showed me the thread, frustration etching lines around his mouth. He means no complications, like you're some footnote. Rage flickered, not at Marco, but the system, the invisible hand shoving us into footnotes. We argued for the first time since the betrayal. Me pushing for confrontation, him hedging with, "Just play along till I'm settled." Play along. I shot back, pacing my cramped living room, books toppling like dominoes. "That's what got us here. You playing roles while I wait in the wings." The fight escalated, words weaponized. My fear of being the college fling, his terror of tanking a future he'd bled for. Doors slammed, texts went unread for days. A cold war in the heat of summer. I threw myself into freelance editing gigs, annotating manuscripts for indie presses, losing hours in red ink and regret. Lena staged an intervention over gelato at a Capitol Hill parlor, her spoon waving like a flag of truce. "Ethan, love's not a layup. It's a full-court press. You gotta decide if you're fouling out or fighting through." Her words lingered, a halftime pep talk, as I scrolled Jax's Insta. Training clips from pre-season camps, captions all grit and glory, but his eyes in the stories? Haunted, searching. Re-entry came circuitously. A mutual friend's birthday hike up Rattlesnake Ledge, the trailhead buzzing with alumni and awkward hellos. We converged at the summit, breaths ragged from the climb, the Olympics sprawling below like a crumpled postcard. He found me by a lone pine, away from the group's charcuterie spread, offering a water bottle with a sheepish half-smile. Truce. No grand gestures. Just us, sitting cross-legged on granite, unpacking the rift like overpacked suitcases. He owned the hedging, vowing transparency. Marco gets an earful next call. And Dad, maybe it's time. I confessed my insecurities, the ache of potential loss. I don't want to be the guy you leave behind, Jax. I want to be the one you run toward. He pulled me close, the wind whipping our words away, sealing with a kiss that tasted of pine sap and promise. Not perfect, but progressing. Fall semester parted us physically. Me grinding through senior year, him navigating brew and bustle, but technology tethered. FaceTimes at dawn for him, dusk for me, syncing across time zones. He'd recount locker room lore, the subtle shifts as he tested waters. A rainbow pin on his lanyard, casual deflections of girlfriend? Probes. I shared campus quirks. Protests for trans rights on the quad. My thesis defense where the panel grilled but ultimately glowed. Letters arrived too, his scrawled on team stationery. Mine typed with marginalia doodles, artifacts in an era of swipes. Holidays tested. Thanksgiving at my folks in Ohio, him enduring turkey and tension with his family in Bellevue, texting under the table. Survive the Inquisition. Your turn next year. The humanistic core emerged in fragments. Mentoring freshman queers through the LGBTQ Center, where I'd facilitate circles on coming out without combustion. Jax joined virtually once, his face pixelated but presence potent, sharing lessons from the lane on resilience. It humanized him, not the star but the seeker, and me from spectator to storyteller. Yet betrayal's echo lingered, a scar itching in quiet moments, reminding that love's a contact sport, bruises included. Winter break reunited us in Seattle, snow dusting the sound like confectioner's sugar. We holed up in his family's vacated cabin on Whidbey Island. A wedding gift turned hideaway. Wood stove crackling, windows fogged with our breaths. No agenda but us. Cooking chili from scratch, his mom's recipe, tweaked vegan for me. Binging Ted Lasso marathons. Bodies entwined under quilts without urgency. Just the poetry of proximity. One night, stars pricking the ink-black sky, he turned to me by the fire, voice steady. I'm ready. To tell them. Heart in throat. I nodded, holding space as he dialed Dad. Speaker on, the ringtone a metronome to nerves. The call was jagged. Pauses heavy as anchors, his father's voice gruff with surprise, then softening. Stories of an uncle lost to silence in the 70s. Regrets unspoken till now. No fireworks, but a door cracked. Proud of you, son. Whoever makes you better. Bring him around. Tears came then, mutual, cathartic, washing clean the what-ifs. We emerged changed, not invincible but intertwined threads in a larger tapestry of flawed, fierce humanity. Spring 2026 bloomed with tentative triumphs. Jax's Bruin debut lit up ESPN. A 30-point triple-double in March Madness opener. Commentators crowing about Harlan's heir apparent. I watched from a campus watch party. Cheers mingling with pride's quiet swell. His post-game interview a masterclass in subtlety. Shout out to my rock back home, keeping me grounded. Fans speculated girlfriend? But we savored the code. A wink across wires. Marco, post-call dressing down, pivoted to ally mode. Image is authenticity now. Kid, lean in. Nil deals followed. A sportswear line with pride patches. Interviews where Jax name-dropped Glad without flinching. For me, graduation loomed like a finish line smeared in fog. Thesis bound, diploma in sight, but job hunts yielded crickets. Editorial assistant gigs in New York, grad school deferrals to Berkeley. Uncertainty gnawed, amplified by distance. Flights drained savings. Calls couldn't convey the ache of empty passenger seats. We compensated with visits. me crashing his Westwood apartment, a sun-baked walk-up smelling of ramen and ambition, where we'd cook breakfast burritos and brainstorm futures. Portland, he'd muse, tracing maps on napkins. Queer Mecca, craft beer, no traffic like this hellscape. I'd counter with Seattle anchors. Family ties, the center's expansion needing coordinators. Conflict reignited subtly, via a Sports Illustrated profile dropped unannounced. Glossy spreads of Jack's mid-dunk. But the sidebar? As sources say, whisper of off-court romance with a TA code for me, but blurred, protecting yet patronizing. I called fuming. They painted me as arm candy, Jax. Your inspiration muse. His apologies tumbled over spotty connection. Editor's spin, not his script, but hurt festered, resurrecting old ghosts. Am I just the backstory? The feel-good footnote while you chase rings. The argument stretched days, silences louder than shouts, until he booked a red-eye, landing disheveled at Seattle-Tacoma with roses and resolve. We hashed it in Discovery Park, trails winding through Madronis, Salal brushing calves. You're not backstory, F. You're the goddamn prologue and epilogue. He halted by a bluff, sound churning below, pulling a velvet box from his pack. Not rings, but matching pendants. Silver hoops etched with coordinates of our first gym collision. Bookmarks, he said, clasping mine around my neck, to mark where we started, and keep turning pages together. The gesture disarmed, dissolving defenses, leading to a picnic of PB and JS and promises. Transparency clauses in interviews, joint therapy via Zoom for long-haul tools. Yet the universe, ever the trickster, upped the ante. In July, as wildfires choked California skies, Jax's knee, that old sprain from playoffs, rebelled during summer league. MRI confirmed. Microtear, sidelining him for fall training. Panic rippled. Scouts whispering fragile, Marco scrambling spin, Dad driving down with unsolicited, tough love tapes. Jack spiraled, gym rat reduced to stationary bike purgatory, calls laced with edge. What if this tanks everything? The ride, the dreams. All 'cause I pushed too hard. I'd soothe from afar, but impotence chafed. My own world spun too. A fellowship offer from a Chicago lit mag. Relocation deadline September. The betrayal this time wasn't his, but circumstances' cruel mimicry. He confessed over a glitchy video, face gaunt in dorm light. There's this trainer, ex-athlete, queer, been hitting on me during PT. Nothing happened, but stirred shit. Made me question if I'm enough for you, laid up like this. My gut twisted. Not jealousy, but the echo of his past lapse. Trust's thin ice cracking anew. Jax, it's not about enough. It's about us weathering the fouls. But doubt seated, blooming in solo nights scrolling his feeds. PT selfies with the trainer's arm casual on his shoulder. Captions all grinding through. I flew out unannounced, landing in LAX haze, Ubering to his PT clinic like a scene from a noir flick. There he was, icing post-session, the trainer lean, tattooed, all easy charisma, packing gear. Jax's face lit on sight, scrambling up for a hug that lifted me off feet. Holy, you're here. We ditched for Santa Monica Pier, Twilight Ferris while spinning lazy, cotton candy dissolving on tongues. Confessions cascaded. His insecurities, the trainer's harmless flirt as mirror to his vulnerabilities. My fears of drifting into footnotes. We're not solo acts anymore, I said, Ferris lights painting us kaleidoscopic. We're the team, assists, not just scores. He nodded, kissing salt from my lips, the ocean's roar drowning doubts. Recommitment manifested in action. I deferred Chicago, negotiating remote start. He looped me into PT routines via shared apps. Our workouts synced across miles. We co-wrote an op-ed for Out magazine. Hoop dreams and heartbreaks. Loving out loud in the locker room. Anonymous at his insistence, but potent, sparking DMs from young athletes worldwide. Humanism threaded through. Mentoring a high school kid via the center, Jack's guest speaking at UCLA's Pride Week, his story raw, resonant. I learned love isn't a highlight. It's the halftime huddles, the injuries that teach you to lean. But climax crested in November, as March Madness fever gripped. Jax, cleared for limited play, suited up for Bruins tourney opener. Sold-out Poly Pavilion, scouts in seersucker. I flew in, snagging a seat behind the bench, heart syncopated to the PA announcer. Tip-off thundered, Jax subbing midway first quarter, tentative at first. Passes crisp but drives hesitant, knee whispering warnings. Halftime, down 10, coach's clipboard a frenzy. Then, third quarter surge. Jax ignited, stealing feeds, sinking threes with venom, the crowd chanting Harlon as he orchestrated a 15-point swing. Foul trouble loomed, a hard screen from an opponent clipping his leg, sending him crumpling, arena gasping. Medics hovered, but he waved them off, limping to line for free throws. 2 stitches needed, but eyes found mine in the stands, steel unyielding. Swish, swish, game winner potential hung. Final possession. Down 1, clock ticking, Jax isolation, crossover, hesitation, then launch. Arcing perfect, net rippling as buzzer blared. Bedlam. Teammates mobbing, confetti cannons, but he broke free, tunnel-bound, glancing back. Wait for me. Post-game locker room access via his pass, steam thick with ice baths and elation. He emerged, knee-braced, jersey sweat dark, pulling me into a shadowed alcove amid backslaps. We did it, he breathed, lips crashing mine. Victory's salt mingling with relief's tears, but joy fractured. Marco burst in, phone glued to ear. Kid, that shot's viral, but the kiss? Cameras caught a glimpse. Spin or own. Jack stiffened, then straightened, hand squeezing mine. Own it. Tell him, that's my partner. Ethan Caldwell, the guy who schooled me on more than ball. The room hushed, teammates processing, then erupting, hugs, whoops, Ryan leading a chant. Ethan, Ethan. The fallout cascaded. Headlines from Bruin bombshell to think pieces on queerness in hoops, glad calls flooding. Backlash bit, trolls on X, a sponsor waffling. But support surged. LeBron retweet, Pat Riley quote on real MVPs. Jax's dad flew in, handshake firm. Knew you had guts, son. Proud. For us, it catalyzed. Coming out as a unit, interviews tandem. His knee rehab a metaphor for resilience. Slow heals, stronger strides. Yet in quiet aftermath, as confetti settled, we confronted the cost. Privacy's erosion, futures forked. Chicago beckoned, UCLA anchored. Compromise brewed, hybrid life, quarterly relos. Humanism prevailed. Not flawless fairy tale, but forged narrative, love as verb. Choosing daily amid cheers and jeers. Summer 2026 unfurled like a victory banner. But victory's afterglow carried undercurrents. Jax's stardom amplified, podcast circuits, nil spikes, a documentary pitch from ESPN on the Harlan arc, from closet to court. We navigated the glare warily, joint appearances at pride parades, from Seattle's torchlit marches to LA's rainbow rivers, hands linked against counter-protesters' bile. This is us, he'd murmur in hotel lobbies, paparazzi flashes popping like distant gunfire. Not them. I adapted, trading freelance obscurity for co-hosting a lit sports pod, bound and bounced. Dissecting narratives from Whitman to Wilt, listeners tuned for the banter. My wry Ohio drawl punctuating his Cali cool, but stayed for the subtext. 2 guys building unapologetically. Relocation talks solidified over cross-country drives. Me piloting a U-Haul from Chicago's Windy Bight to LA's sun-scorched sprawl, Jack scouting lofts in Silver Lake. Queer enclave with murals and matcha bars. The move wasn't seamless. My fellowship's remote claws stretched thin, editors grumbling at time zone tantrums. His schedule a cyclone of camps and commercials. We settled into a airy 2-bed with balcony views of Griffith Observatory. Succulents crowding rails. Our pendants glinting on hooks by the door. Domesticity bloomed Monday miraculous. Grocery runs debating almond versus oat milk. Movie nights with takeout falafel. His head in my lap as credits rolled. Conflict, ever the shadow, resurfaced in autumn's chill. A rival podcaster, ex-jock turned influencer, all bro science and bitterness, dropped an episode titled Harlan's Hype, Talent or Token? Snippets dissected Jax's comeback as diversity checkbox, implying favoritism, my role as PR prop. It stung surgical, hits spiked, but so did hate mail. Slurs scrawled on fan letters, anonymous tips to tabloids fabricating breakup drama. Jax armored up, channeling into Jim Fury, but cracks showed. Skipped meals, restless sleeps, knee flaring under stress. Am I just the poster boy now? He'd vent post-run, towel-snapping ghosts in our living room. I'd counter with facts. Stats soaring, endorsements authentic, but doubt's whisper persisted, eroding the man who'd once spun balls like planets. Betrayal's fresh guys arrived via family. His sister, Mia, sharp-tongued lawyer from Portland, visiting for a weekend, her probing softened by wine but pointed. Over brunch at a WeHo cafe, avocado toast cooling, she cornered gently. Love him fierce. But, Dad's pushing marriage talk. Old habits, you know? Thinks a beard could shield the spotlight. Jax, overhearing from the kitchen, froze mid-omelet flip, spatula clattering. The afternoon devolved, Mia mediating as we aired grievances. His evasion of family calls, my overreach in fixing his narrative. You're not my handler, he snapped, voice echoing off exposed brick. Hurt ricocheted. And you're not a solo show anymore. Doors banged, Mia retreating to a hotel, leaving us in echoey silence. Reconciliation simmered overnight. Me on the couch with Baldwin's essays, him pacing balcony under moon-silver palms. Dawn brought olive branch coffee brewing, his note on the pot. Talk? No scripts. We did, raw as open wounds. His fear of paternal rejection redux, my terror of being the experiment. Tears salted mugs, but truth tempered. Therapy double sessions. Family mediated via Mia's Zoom neutral ground. Dad's eventual thaw a gruff, you boys okay? Text. Mended marginally. Humanism in increments. Climax crested at All-Star Weekend in Chicago neutral turf, my old stomping grounds. Jax, selected as rising star, dazzled in skills challenge. Trick shots weaving flare and fire, crowd electric. But post-event gala, black tie swirl of agents and athletes, tension coiled. Marco, tipsy on champagne, pulled Jax aside for strategy session. Whispers of a high-profile date for optics, a starlit arm candy to balance the books. Jax rebuffed, but the seed lodged, festering as we navigated velvet ropes. I overheard fragments, boosters chuckling good for the brand. And nausea rose, the evening's glamour curdling. It boiled over in the hotel suite, Lake Michigan glittering mockingly beyond glass. Is that the play now? Recloset for clout. I hurled, tie loosened like a noose. Jax recoiled, then roared back. You think I want that shit? It's survival, F. In a league that chews queers and spits 'em out. The fight fractured furniture. Lamps toppled, words weaponized, culminating in his confession. A panicked email to Marco greenlighting a casual intro with the starlet, hedge against backlash. Betrayal bisected us anew. My bags half-packed by midnight, cab idling below. But pause prevailed. Dawn's gray light filtering, Jax at my door. Eyes red-rimmed, phone in hand with Marco's unsent retraction. I deleted it. Can't play games anymore. Not with you, not with us. Vulnerability poured. His draft of a public statement, unfiltered, claiming our story sans shields. If it tanks the league dreams, fuck it. You're my championship. I crumpled into him, sobs sinking, the suite a sanctuary of surrender. We co-edited the post till sunrise, fingers flying. To the fans who've cheered, here's the full court. Love, unedited. Release hit like a fast break. Instagram story, then presser, Jax at podium flanked by me, voice steady. Ethan's my partner, in life, on this journey. No more halves. Ripples radiated. Ally anthems from peers, condemnations from corners, but solidarity swelled. Petitions for inclusive NIL. Youth camps rebranded Pride Forward. Humanely, it humbled. Not conquest, but conversation. Dialogues with doubters, dinners with dad now including the boys. Through it, romance rekindled raw. Post-presser walk along the lake, hands swinging free, wind whipping truths. "We're the underdogs now," Jax quipped, skipping stones across slate waves. "But we hustle harder." Laughter bubbled, sealing scars with levity. Love's litany of lifts and lapses. By 2027's cusp, equilibrium edged in, not utopia, but earned ease. Jax's rookie season with the Clippers dawned dazzling. Draft lottery luck landing him LA proper. Me commuting from our Silver Lake nest to freelance roosts in Hollywood's hum. We ritualized routines. Pre-game meditations with my guided audios, theses turned-tapes. His returns with arena flowers. Wilted roses a badge of battles won. Public life layered. Red carpets tandem. His entailored slim fit, mine rumpled chic. Quips disarming flashbulbs. Ethan keeps me from tripping on my ego. He just to E. Mike's, my squeeze affirming. Yet depth demanded diligence. Conflict cropped in microdoses. A teammate's bachelor bash turning tense with straight night vibes. Jax dipping early but debriefing haunted. Felt like high school regressions. He'd admit over late-night ramen, steam curling like confessions. I'd counter with center check-ins, virtual circles linking LA and Seattle queers, bridges over divides. Betrayal's specter surfaced once more, insidious. An ex from Jax's Prius haze. A summer fling from teen camps. Resurfacing via DMs. Leaked, nudes threatening tabloid splash unless reconnected. Extortion's chill gripped. But we lawyered up, Mia's firm, pro bono fierce. Turning tables. Countersuit public call-out on predatory pasts. Climax quieted this round. No arenas, but an anniversary eve in Big Sur. Cliffs crumbling to Pacific foam. We'd escaped Clippers' bubble for breath. Tent pitched on coastal bluff. Stars a spill of salt. Around campfire crackle, Jax unearthed a journal. Entries from our gym genesis, scribbled sidelines to soul bears. "Kept this to remember why," he said, pages yellowing like old film. Reading aloud, voices overlapping, unearthed aches. My initial terror of touch, his closet calculus. Then pivotal. A letter from his uncle's attic trove, unearthed post coming out. Yellowed notes from 70s San Francisco, a ballplayer's clandestine loves, silenced by AIDS scythe. He never played pro. Jax read voice fracturing. Feared the loss. But he loved loud in letters. Taught me. Don't bench your heart. Tears fed flames, catharsis cresting as we vowed vocally. No more silences, annual truth camps to unpack accruals. Dawn broke with a vow exchange. Not rings yet, but ringside promises. Through fouls and finals, assists and ejections. Romance romped renewed. Cliffside yoga, wave-chased hikes, bodies bookend by briny breezes. Intimacy in implication, emotions etched eternal. Humanism haloed the horizon. We founded court lines, non-profit fusing lit and hoops for LGBTQ plus youth. Camps in Seattle and LA blending pickup games with poetry slams. First session. Kids dribbling dreams, sharing verses on identity's inflections. Jax coached crossovers. I facilitated freeze. A teen stuttered. I'm scared to tell mom met with our tandem. We were two, but here's the play. Impacts rippled. Grants gushing, testimonials treasures. Personally, Dad's evolution enchanted. Holidays now hybrid, Ohio farm feasts with Eth's apple pie tradition. His gruff, past the yams. Partner, a pinnacle. Yet endings etch ambiguous. By years close, crossroads converged. Clippers championship chase clashing my book deal deadline. Memoir pitch, double-booked hearts. A gay love in layups. Tours tempted transatlantic. His playoffs pinning Pacific. We weighed, whispered, chose. Sabbatical sink. Me shadowing arenas, him guesting readings. No tragedy, but tender tension. Love's ledger balanced in bids, not binaries. In quiet coda, post-game 1 April night. Clippers clinching conference, confetti carnage. Jax pulled me courtside, knee braced but beaming, Mike thrust unexpected. This one's for Ethan, the partner who turned double books into our storybook. Arena erupted, but our eyes locked, echoing that fluorescent fate. We exited arm in arm, city lights a laurel wreath, knowing. Not every arc's perfect, but in the bounce. The betrayals, bonds, boundless becomings. We played full court, forever teamed. Life post-glory grounded gracefully. We adopted a rescue mutt, Dribbles. A wiry terrier with Jax's endless energy. Walks weaving neighborhoods, leashes loose as our laughs. Therapy thrived tandem. Unpacking paternals, plotting parentals, talks of kids via surrogacy someday. Society shifted seismic. League's first out draftee crediting Harlan Caldwell. Our pod pulsing with Pier's tales. Betrayals? Breadcrumbs now, lessons leavened. That ex? Convicted, catalyst for advocacy. Marco? Mentored into marginalia, replaced by queer agents. Conflicts? Composts for growth. Spats over socks sparking symphonies of sorries. Humanely, happily, we humanized. Flaws not footnotes but frontispieces. In a Silver Lake sunset, balcony beers clinking, Jack's toasts. To double books, best glitch ever. I chime, and the star who stayed. Fade out on that not finale but frame eternal, love's league undefeated.